and we're going to talk to Rich, who's calling us from Albany, New York, and listens on WHAZ. Hi, Rich. How are you today?
Yeah. Okay. How you doing?
Good. How can we help you?
Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So my situation is somewhat complicated in that I work with someone who I've known for many years, whose husband, who also worked in the same store, developed Alzheimer's about a year or so ago, and I've been a support for her during this time. In that, just when she's come through my line, I was a cashier. We would just discuss things about her situation, and I noticed myself we were getting. We've gotten involved emotionally from this supporting her, and my concern is that it's that it could lead into something more, and it's almost like I'm waiting. I feel like I'm on the on deck circle and waiting, for a husband to die. I even hate saying that, but we've just we text and email, not every day, but pretty regularly, a few times a week, and I see her. I don't have to see her that often, but it's a very complicated situation because I've known her and her husband for many years and worked with them. So I'm asking how to support her and not become involved, in a relationship, romantic, physical relationship.
Well, that's a good question, Rich. Mylan or Alice, where would you begin?
Rich, first, I deeply respect your willingness to say you're waiting for her husband to pass away. Thank you for acknowledging that, for admitting that. And I'm going to very gently tell you, you already are involved. And your warning signs are going off, that there already is, even though romantic might seem like too strong of a word, you already, I believe, have crossed an emotional line with her, and you're too supportive while her husband is still alive. And I think you know that. That's why you're calling. Is that right? You know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So
let's transition your question from how do I protect it from becoming too involved, because you already are, to what do I do now that I realize I'm too involved? How does that question sit with you?
That it sounds fair enough. Yeah, it's good because there's so much intrigue. When we are together in the store and helping, she said something. Oh, we make a really good team. So just like something like that, I'm like, off to the races with that. And I've always found her attractive, but the fact that she was married and all of a sudden she seemingly became available, but not really. But she became available to me because of her vulnerability and weakness around this, and just
and Rich, the most caring thing for you to do now is, I do believe you deeply care for her and her husband. The best thing to do would actually be to back away.
Yeah. That's
Mylan, what would you offer, Rich?
Well, the fact is she's still married. And her husband is not available, but she's still married. And so I would encourage you to really think along the lines what Alice said, that Dr. Benton is saying you're really in too deep already. And I love your call. And I might be honest with her and tell her that you're not pulling back because you don't care what's going on or you don't want to support. But you're not meeting in a place where you can fairly assess whether this is a good romantic relationship in the future or not. She's in a state of having to deal with a place of grief. You're a place of joy. And if she loses her husband, and sometime she will, she will not be on a level playing field for a while because she's going to have to adjust to the fact that she is without a mate now. I've known people who have fallen in love in the middle of grief, and they support each other, and then later when the grief wears off, they realize that was my role, was to be a grief supporter. And I don't know, I don't know how to have a relationship that is absent from that core piece of grief recovery. And so it would be really important to build a relationship when she's outside of that. And I would just tell her, I feel like we're in too deep. I want to limit the number of texts, and I want to just back away. And I think Alice is absolutely right. You have to create distance.
And if you want to be, I want to offer this, and then we'll talk to Larry, who's in the studio. But Rich, the best thing that you could do for her is point her in the direction of support.
Yeah. Other females too.
Yes, other females. Get her connected with a community of Alzheimer's support groups. They are out there, and that could be the most loving thing that you could do. And also, it would be not taking advantage of her vulnerability at that point, at this point, which I don't think that's what you're thinking of, but that's what's happening. But thanks for calling. We're going to send you a copy of Every Man's Bible that will encourage you. Alice, you sound like you got one more thing you want to say.
Yes, ma'am. I think it's okay, Rich, to admit I recognize that my attraction is increasing. And so to care for you and your husband and your marriage, that's why I'm backing away.
Yes.
And Rich, I couldn't do that, honestly, if I were in your shoes, because I would be too attached to this woman. It would feel unkind to do so. So I also recommend that you tell a male friend that you've been challenged to do this and get some prayer support on it so that you have help in following through with our advice.